Welcome. I was taking my ramble on the sandwalk when Parslow came and told me you were here. I get few visitors, especially from America. I understand you are interested in my views of my life and work. Well, I hope your chair is comfortable. As M tells me that with guests, I often don't know when to stop talking. If she enters the room, then quickly leaves, it is a signal I have gone on for too long. I never visited America, although American scientists with whom I corresponded urged me to come. But I have some familiarity with your wonderful country. Soon after The Origin was published, the book editor at the New York Times newspaper wrote a review. I still have a copy. Unlike many of the reviews of my book, it was quite complimentary. There are some things that seem utterly incomprehensible, and such may be the case for questions surrounding the origin of life. Indeed, considering the limitations of science, what is therefore the wisest but to work in the spirit of the Shakespearean utterance, in nature's infinite book of secrecy, but a little can be read. In respect of the great spinal thought of Mr. Darwin's theory, we are persuaded that the doctrine of progressive modification by natural selection will make a revolution in natural history. Before I begin, I do apologize for anything I say that might offend. At this time in my life, I have grown weary of the hypocrisy of much of social convention. Many people have a credo which influences their priorities in life. For M, it is faith and family. But for me, it is the truth. I have often said to M, who worries about me in the here and the hereafter, no matter what people may say about me, I am content knowing I have sought the truth. Before the publication of The Origin in 1859, it was commonly believed that the world was only 6,000 years old, created by God in 4000 BC. Well, actually, precisely at 9 a.m. on Sunday, October 23rd, in the year 4004 BC, according to the calculations of Archbishop Usher. It gives me pause to realize that some people believe this still, and that I accepted this idea without question when I was much younger. Well, to begin at the beginning. I was born February 12, 1809, in Shrewsbury, the very same day as your president, Abraham Lincoln. I grew up in a family of physicians. My paternal grandfather, Erasmus, was a brilliant physician and author. My father, Robert, had one of the largest medical practices outside of London. My older brother, Ras, planned a career in medicine. My mother was a Wedgwood, but she died when I was only 8, and I have few memories of her. Shortly after she died, my father sent me to Shrewsbury School, where I was taught little more than Latin and Greek and some ancient history. I had no exceptional ability. My real interests lay outside of school, where I enjoyed hunting and natural history. I loved to explore. I spent many hours collecting animals and plants, then studying them in the laboratory that Ras improvised in the tool shed at the bottom of the garden. I was an avid collector of coins and shells, birds' eggs, rocks, and insects. Curious says, neither Ras nor any of my 4 sisters had this passion for nature or interest in collecting. Here, look. These are some of the beetles I collected as a boy. Beetling was one of my greatest passions. Even as a student at Cambridge, I loved beetle hunting. One day, while removing the bark from a dead tree, I saw 2 rare beetles and seized one in each hand. Then I saw a 3rd specimen. Unwilling to give up any, I took one from my hand and popped it into my mouth in order to grab the 3rd. Well, the beetle in my mouth emitted a vile and bitter fluid, and I was forced to spit it out. And as it ran away, the beetle in my other hand escaped. While that venture proved unsuccessful and untasteful, I later caught another beetle that proved to be a new species unknown to science. And I received credit from a scientific journal for capturing the first known specimen. When I became 16, my father sent me to Edinburgh to study medicine. I was a capable student, but found the lectures dull. As my interest in medical science waned, my interest in natural history intensified. When I left Edinburgh after 2 years, a failed physician, I made my first visit to London and found it a horribly smoky place. Then my uncle, Josiah Wedgwood, Uncle Jos, took me and my cousins Emma and Fanny to Paris, my only trip to the continent. Upon my return, my father informed me of his new plans for my life in the Church of England. I found his decision most puzzling. My father had never showed any interest in religion.